I just had the pile of books fall and some hardcovers landed on my foot, and it, yeah, it's not good. Still hurts. Hey everyone, so new year, finally got all my books in from Christmas, things that I ordered, used some of my gift cards, and so I have the subsequent book haul. I kind of have them split up into 3 different piles, just easier for me to organize my thoughts, but I do have a total of 10 books to show you, so it's, you know, it's a decent haul, especially for me. The first 2 books that I have are actually not Christmas related at all. Picador contacted Les and I at one point back in 2014, towards the end of the year, and, you know, basically said, hey, we have these books coming out, take a look. And so I picked 2 of them, and I got the advanced readers copies. The first one is A Pleasure and a Calling by Phil Hogan. This one is about a man named Mr. Hemming, who is the real estate agent in this quaint little town. The creepy thing is he has all the keys to all the houses that he's ever sold, so he can sneak into people's houses and spy on their lives. And then, on top of that, there's a dead body. So we have the mystery of the dead body, and we have our people going to find out Mr. Hemming's secret. I don't know, it just sounded, you know, it's kind of a short read, but it just sounded fun and creepy and chilling, and I figured I'd give it a shot. The other book that I requested is The Almost Nearly Perfect People, and it's by Michael Booth, and this one is about Scandinavian countries, basically. The little thing here says, behind the myth of the Scandinavian utopia. So this man is not originally from Scandinavia, but he has lived in Denmark for a large chunk of his life. There's a certain ideal, I think, that people who don't live in Scandinavia get. We think of their countries as being, you know, so forward-thinking, so perfect, so rich, and obviously stereotypes are not always true. So he goes out to set the record straight and see, you know, do Finns really have the best education system? He visits and talks to people in Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland. And I think the book is probably split up into chapters focusing on each one, but it sounded like an informative read. So I figured that I would give this book a try and learn some things. Become a more informed individual. The next set of books are all books that I bought with Christmas money or gift cards that were given to me. So the first one I picked up at the local bookstore. I had a gift card for it. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I got Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This one was getting a lot of buzz by the end of the year. Specifically Rincey. From Rincey Reads, she really sold me on checking out this book. It focuses on an acting troupe after a particular plague has taken place. The novel begins with a certain Shakespearean play being acted, and one of the men drops dead, and then that night the plague hits. And so this world is sort of crumbling around them, and then we jump back and forth, you know, from that point to 15 years later, and to see how humans are surviving. At first, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'll think, you know, what I'll think about this book, but reading the inside flap really sold me. I have a feeling it might be a little quirky, but it does float around the Great Lakes region and whatnot, and I'm kind of familiar with that region, so that'd be kind of fun to read about that too. And just seeing how these people survived, like what is this plague and how are these people holding up after all these years, because obviously, you know, the planet has fallen apart. The other 3 I got with an Amazon gift card that I received. The first book is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Now, I've known about Toni Morrison for a long time. I've had people recommend different books of hers to me on Goodreads, but I've never really gotten that huge draw to check her out. But The Bluest Eye has been talked about by a couple different booktubers recently, and I decided if I was going to go for it, I should start with this one because the plot appealed to me the most. It's actually a very manageable read. It's about 200 pages, and it's Toni Morrison's first book. So that all kind of came together for me to pick this one up. But it's about a young girl. She's got the dark skin, the curly hair, the brown eyes, and the thing she wishes is that she was blonde hair and blue-eyed because people wouldn't make fun of her. There's also this whole story I know that happens with her father, and it's supposed to be, and I'm sure it is, a very dark book that really, you know, gets to you. So I do really want to give Toni Morrison a try and figured I might as well just delve in with this one. The second book I grabbed from Amazon was Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. This has also been floating around BookTube for a bit, but the thing about this book is that it is one that I would never have picked up if I hadn't had other people talk to me about it. I am not one for short stories, and I'm definitely not one for books that are essays, which is what this is. It's a book of essays put together that focuses on this main idea of feminism, but sort of breaks it down into categories like sex, entertainment, race, gender, that sort of thing. I've heard generally really good things about it, but I just wanted to try reading something different, and if I were to pick up a book that was a conglomeration of essays, this would be the kind of thing that I would want to try reading. It might challenge me a little bit, which I'm interested to experience, but mostly I just want to try reading an essay book that focuses on a topic that I do feel invested in, and that's exactly what this is. The last book from Amazon is a hunk, and that is Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. This one has been in my to-read list for a long time on Goodreads. And then Ashley from Climb the Stacks and Jenny from Adultish Books did like a buddy read for it, and I was kind of inspired by their videos that I watched about their feelings on it and decided I would go and, finally get a copy of it. This book is massive, as you may have seen. It is, 800 something pages. Yeah, 850 or so. I see it and I'm like, okay, well, maybe the font's probably a pretty good size then if it's so big. Nope. Tiny, tiny, tiny font. So I'm definitely a little intimidated by this. The whole idea of following this town of Lonesome Dove in Texas, all the people in it, all the things that happen to them. I love grand epic stories like that, but I really have to like work myself up to pick up an 800-page book and know that it's gonna, A, take me a long time to get through, or B, really affect my reading of any other book. So this one will get read someday. I just don't think it's gonna get read right now. Then the last collection of books are books I received directly from people for Christmas. The first book that I got is from my parents, and it's The Light in the Ruins by Chris Bojalian. Chris Bojalian is a Vermont author, and I have met him on a couple occasions, and I have also read some of his other works. I really liked The Double Bind and Skeletons at the Feast. His most famous book is Midwives, but I haven't actually read that one. This kind of has two different time periods that it exists in. The first is in Italy during World War II. This, rich family is living on their estate, sort of ignoring everything that's happening around them, and then the Nazis arrive. So then, their idyllic life is shattered. And then we jump forward like 10 years or so, and we're following this woman who works for the Italian police department, as far as I can understand. And the people who lived in that idyllic villa are getting killed. So there's some sort of serial killer targeting this family, and she has to figure out why. Not only is the setting, Italy, awesome, but it has, World War II stuff in it, and I always enjoy getting into that. And also, as you may have noticed, it is an autographed copy. My parents got this at a secondhand bookstore, so someone gave this to a secondhand bookstore, and it is signed. So, yeah. The next two I got from my boyfriend for Christmas. I kind of told him that I was interested in these books, and he did a little research and found two that he was pretty sure I hadn't read before because he knows I read a lot. But the first one that he got me is An Artist of the Floating World by Kazuo Ishiguro. He knew that I had been eyeing these Penguin drop cap books, and so I finally own two of them. This is the first one, just lime green, like beautiful. Oh, I got to peel the plastic wrap off them. It was such a lovely experience. This one takes place in Japan a little after World War II. I believe it's 1948. And so they are recovering from the disaster that war leaves behind and sort of coming to terms with this changing world. I believe it sort of focuses on this father who is the artist and how he's coping with all of this. Unfortunately, there aren't really good descriptions on these books. They just have one quote, so you kind of have to like look it up beforehand to figure out what's going on. But yeah, that's what the binding looks like. So this one has like a little paintbrush swoop on the side. The second book that I received was the Greek Coffin mystery. It's an Ellery Queen novel. This one has this lovely, lovely blue shade going on. And then here's the binding. And this one kind of has like a swoopy, swirly thing at the top. This book is a murder mystery book, essentially, but it has this extra twist to it, and I think the little thing on the back explains it best. It says, "Challenge to the reader. You now have in your possession all the facts pertinent to the only correct solution." So the detective in this, because he once shouted out some things without really thinking it over, he got in trouble for it, so now he never reveals what he thinks is going on with this murder, who he thinks the murderer is, what he thinks the clues mean. So you as the reader are following him and you are given all the clues, and then at the end, I believe this book breaks the fourth wall and says, all right, reader, you have all of these things that you're, at your feet. Who is the killer? It just sounds like a really interesting way of telling a murder mystery, because usually you get to follow the person and be like, oh yeah, okay. But this one's like, nope, you have to figure it out yourself. The last book I received for Christmas was from Les, and she got me Heads in Beds, which is sort of a tell-all about the hotel industry. My new job that I got at the end of November, I work at a hotel now, and so she thought this was a very appropriate book to get me, but it's a reckless memoir of hotels, hustles, and so-called hospitality, which, even if, every little detail isn't totally true, it would still be a really interesting read. And now I've gotten a taste for the industry, so now it'll be funny to sort of see what someone who has worked there for a long time thinks now that I'm starting to develop my own opinions on it. This sounds like the kind of book that would be really fun. Like, you could probably read this in a day, just sit down and soak it all up. This sounds like something that I would just really love to sit down and read. So thanks, Les. I think I'll enjoy this one. That is everything. All 10 books I got. There's a lot, and now I have to fit them on my bookshelves again, which is just a challenge every single time I have to fit another book on there. But it's a challenge I look forward to. If you have read any of these books, or if you have any questions about any of these books, definitely leave them in the comments below. As always, all of our links are in the doobly-doo. Check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you later.